So a caller called up yesterday and said, irrelevant, because Trump is a bad person. I said, give me the number one thing that makes him a bad person. And he said he wouldn't rent to black people. Now, what the gentleman is referring to is the allegation that the Trump management, Trump was in his 20s at the time, running it for his dad, refused to rent to would-be black and brown renters. And Trump entered into what's called a consent decree, no admission of liability or guilt, with the FHA, promising to change its tactics. That was in 1975. Fast forward, 24 years later, at a Rainbow Coalition push organization founded by Jesse Jackson event, he praises Trump as a friend and talks about how Trump supported the Wall Street project to encourage more blacks to get into the Wall Street. Following year, praised him again. Now, do you think Jesse Jackson ignored the consent decree that the Trump organization entered into in 1975? Or did he consider the larger issue about what Trump was doing? You tell me. Was Jesse Jackson, as I am often accused of, cooning, C-O-O-N-I-N-G? That's a gerund, meaning you're basically sucking up to white people. Was Jesse Jackson and other leaders at those various meetings doing the same thing? Again, that was 1975. Now, let's talk about Joe Biden. When I asked the gentleman if he voted for Biden, he said yes. Apart from Biden lying for decades about his so-called civil rights record, he desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware. No, he didn't. He was raised in a black church. No, he wasn't. He was arrested trying to visit Nelson Mandela during apartheid South Africa when Mandela was in prison. No, he didn't. Now, what's worse, being a racist or lying about whether or not you are not a racist? You tell me. So Biden gets elected to the Senate in 1972. And he's bragged for decades about his ability to, quote, get things done, close with the Democrat segregationists who are in his party. People like John Eastman. Now, Biden opposed busing, and he said that he opposed court-ordered busing. By the way, a lot of people did, whites and blacks. My mother and father hated busing. But note Biden's rationale. Here's what he said in the 1977 Senate Judiciary Committee meeting. Quote, unless we do something about this, referring to busing, my children are going to grow up in a jungle, the jungle being a racial jungle, with tensions having built so high that it's going to explode at some point. Racial jungle. And he bragged about his relationship with Robert Byrd, a former exalted cyclops in the KKK. That means people that recruit others. He died in 2010. And Biden referred to Robert Byrd as, quote, one of my mentors, and the Senate is a lesser place for his going, close quote. He also praised another Southern racist. He said he's in a caucus with Mississippi Senator James O. Eastland, and bragged that he never called me boy, he always called me son, meaning he treated me differently, and so he put his arm around me and called me son. It wasn't until 2019 that Biden apologized for this. Quote, now I was wrong a few weeks ago, Biden said, to somehow give the impression to people that I was praising those men I successfully opposed time and time again. Yes, I was. I regret it. I'm sorry for any of the pain or misconception that I caused anybody, end of quote. And that brings us to telling Charlemagne the God, you ain't really black unless you know you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump. So Trump is a racist because of the 1975 consent decree. But all these other things I said about Joe Biden, let's just ignore them. By the way, when Trump or Biden dropped out of the 2024 race, Van Jones, who attributed Trump's 2016 victory to white lash, said, quote, I just know that I love this man. I care about this man, close quote, referring to Joe Biden. I guess all the other things that I mentioned have been forgiven.